If you want to be taken for a ride here, hold on to your seats. So, no, she is amazing. Please welcome Marrianne Gettman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron and Rick. That was beautiful, beautiful. Take some deep breaths too. Good morning, and welcome to my fourth talk at Unity of Kanawha Valley. My name is Marrianne Gettman. If I don't know you, you don't know me. I had titles to the rest of my talks, but this was kind of short-noticed, so had a couple of days to prepare. So I just said thoughts about reincarnation. That's the title of it. Rich Hopkins asked me a couple of weeks ago if I could put together some information on reincarnation to combine with his knowledge on the subject, since the Thursday evening book group was interested in having some discussions on the subject. So I was already reviewing the material when Pam sent out the help request for a last-minute substitute for Megan Lyon, who is ill. And right now I would like for us just to take a few slow, deep breaths and close our eyes and just see Megan surrounded in healing light and love as she has a quick recovery. Thank you, and so it is. Amen. And thank you, Rich, for giving me the opportunity to gather some material about my favorite subject, or I would not be standing here. As Scott says, you are free to believe, and Peggy said, whatever you want to believe at Unity. Keep the ideas that feel right for you, and then let go of the rest. I will be quoting some Unity authors and other metaphysical books that resonate with my beliefs about life, soul purpose, and God. I have believed in reincarnation for over 50 years. My initial introduction was a book called World Beyond by Ruth Montgomery that was sent to me by my mother when I was living in Columbus. She thought I might find it interesting, and I sure did. I had been questioning my belief in God at that time and had really put God out of my thoughts. As I read the book, I felt a sensation of joy in my heart. The references to reincarnation and the cycle of the soul made a lot of sense to me, psychologically, spiritually, and emotionally. I was actually moved to tears. It showed me that there is a God of justice and unconditional love. No judgment, only love. And I've got a book too. Our prayer chaplains are now reading and studying a booklet called 5 Principles for Spiritual Living by Reverend Elizabeth Longo. I think there's one more copy up here. I find it interesting that the first paragraph in the booklet describes the same questions I had before discovering reincarnation. Reverend Longo says, and I quote, "As early as I can recall, I wanted to know the great mystery underneath all creation. I desperately needed to make sense of my life. Why was I here? Who created me? And for what purpose? It didn't make sense to me that God was sitting on a cloud watching all my actions and judging me. I struggled and wrestled with the notion of a separate God and what religion was teaching me. I desperately wanted to know God, but I couldn't just accept on blind faith. End of quote. In the late 70s, after reading some Edgar Cayce books and other metaphysical books, I was on a mission to find someone that could channel past life readings. I wanted to know more about my soul, my life purpose, why I am the way I am. Edgar Cayce was called the sleeping prophet, the father of holistic medicine. He was an ordinary man that had great spiritual ability and dedication. His greatness is evidenced by his life of selfless service. There are records of over 14,000 past life readings that he conducted. The foundation that many of you know about is located in Virginia Beach and is known as ARE, or Association for Research and Enlightenment. His readings constitute one of the largest and most impressive records of psychic readings in history. In one of his readings, Cayce speaks of the path of doing good to those who persecute you as a way of escaping bondage to your negative karma. The law of karma cannot be broken, but it can be fulfilled through divine love. In the early 80s, I was receiving weekly allergy shots from a nurse named Barbara. Out of the clear blue one day, she said, "I don't know about anyone else, but I believe in reincarnation." I responded with, "Wow, Barbara, so do I." She then handed me a book titled She Can Read Your Past Lives by Dr. Franklin Lohr and said I needed to read this book. I received a lot more that day than a shot in the arm, more like a boost in the soul. Dr. Lohr was the director of the Religious Research Foundation. His best-known book is The Power of Prayer on Plants. In the 60s, the primary work of the Religious Research Foundation became facilitating and documenting the life readings that were channeled by Dr. John Christopher Daniels, the spirit teacher and guide for religious research. What is more amazing, that I didn't know until a week later, that my close friend Pam Lynn had been on a bus in Mexico City hearing the same information about the same exact book that I had in my hands. We were both so excited about telling each other our good news and it turned out to be the same news. It was obviously more than a coincidence. Pam and I and others that lived here in this area at that time received past life readings through Dr. Franklin Lohr that touched our souls. There was such an increased regional interest due to the depth of the readings that a 3-day reincarnation seminar was organized and held at University of Charleston in 1979. We were interviewed. There were pictures of us in the paper with Dr. Lohr. It was quite an event. And during that time, I was working at a bank. I'm surprised that I didn't get fired. I mean, really. I was fired up, and people knew it. When I started reading books written by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the founders of Unity, and read that they also believed in past lives, I became excited about Unity. That was before UKV was founded. In the book, Healing Letters, Myrtle Fillmore said, "You will learn that those who go through the change called death are passing through a transition. Your dear one has not gone away, but is abiding in the heart of God. It will help you to know that souls keep on being re-embodied as children until they come into the Christ consciousness and have perfect dominion over mind, body, and affairs. Your dear one may already be building a new body temple in which to learn more lessons to unfold the God qualities." Charles Fillmore wrote the Statements of Faith and published them in the April 1921 edition of the Unity magazine. There were 32 statements, and one of them addressed Unity's thinking on death. It says, "We believe the separation of spirit, soul, and body caused by death is annulled by rebirth of the same spirit and soul in another body here on earth. We believe the repeated incarnations of all people to be merciful, providing everyone to have the opportunity to attain perfection through reincarnation, as did Jesus." Unity author Ellen Debenport, who currently oversees publications for Unity Worldwide and including the Daily Word, describes in her book, The 5 Principles, that she likes to believe that we come into human form with soul contracts. She imagines souls coming together in groups. Various souls offer to play various roles, like a screenplay. I'll be the mommy this time, and you be the daddy or the kid. She believes that we pick our parents, relationships, close friends, and even acquaintances. That we are a part of a cosmic family that return together time after time. Our goal is to share God's love. Slowly, through many lifetimes, we become enlightened as our consciousness expands and we become aware of our oneness with all of life. Unity author and minister Eric Butterworth was senior minister of the Unity Church in New York City for 42 years. Kim spoke about Eric recently. In his book, In the Flow of Life, he asked the question about how could we possibly achieve perfection in one span of life, especially since we all start at different levels. What about those born blind, crippled, brain damaged? If Jesus said you must be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect, isn't it more realistic to assume that Jesus was implying that through births and rebirths, the goal remains constant? Butterworth believed that we are given an eternity in which to achieve it. Slowly, through many incarnations, we become enlightened and consciously aware that we are all God. All of us are individualized parts of God. This is why Reverend Butterworth believed the idea of reincarnation was credible. He found no answer to the meaning of life without it. Another Unity author and minister, Douglas Botorf, writes that many medical professionals are now taking the phenomenon of near-death experiences and all the implications of a self-sustaining soul, including its ability to reincarnate, quite seriously. One example would be at the University of Virginia Medical School. They have been taking it seriously since 1967, when Dr. Ian Stevenson founded the separate division of perceptual studies. For 54 years, they have been doing research focused on studying near-death experiences and have done extensive investigation and have written about those who remembered their past lives, especially young children. According to author Charles Hampton in his book, The Transition, called Death, A Recurring Experience, we get an eagle-eye view that occurs before we are born and get a glimpse of the incarnation we're about to take. At that moment, we do not realize or imagine the restrictions of time and space. It is wise to listen to the voice of conscience because it is the voice of the higher self. The earth is a place to learn primary lessons. From the book, Why Jesus Taught Reincarnation, Herbert Puryear said that the essence of his book is to address the gospel. What is the good news? What was the mission of Jesus? From Psalm 82, Jesus says, "Ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High." Puryear says we are the true children of God. We are spiritual beings made in the image of God. How did we come to be in the blind and limited predicament in which we presently find ourselves? The concept of reincarnation helps us immeasurably in answering these tremendously important questions. We truly take full responsibility for everything we experience. Jesus is a great teacher of all humankind, and reincarnation is the great learning experience for all souls. This is a paragraph from James Van Praag's book, Unfinished Business. When a soul journeys to earth, it needs to learn lessons of all different types. The concept of karma is not a punishment. It is defined as the cause and effect of an action or the principle that the soul must go through in the present or future lifetimes. Karma is neutral. It is merely a tool for learning and having experiences. All choices are derived from either love or fear, positive or negative. In the book Reincarnation, The Missing Link in Christianity, Elizabeth Clare Prophet says that the doctrine of karma cannot be separated from the doctrine of reincarnation. We continue to make negative karma that we must balance. Reincarnation becomes the opportunity that a merciful God would provide. Mainstream Christian theology generally teaches that you only get one lifetime to fulfill Jesus' requirement to being transformed into the divine self. If you fail to do it in this life, you have failed, period, done, no more chances. Prophet's book goes into a lot of biblical history. It was interesting about the lost years of Jesus when he went with a caravan of merchants along the Silk Road to India, where he studied Hinduism and Buddhism. If Jesus went to India, he would have been exposed, obviously, to ideas about reincarnation. The idea of reincarnation was removed from Christian doctrine in 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea. The idea of reincarnation did not sit well with the Church Fathers. Since they wanted control and power over the people. They did not want people to know that they had control over their own lives. The reincarnation view provides an alternative to the view of heaven or hell. In the book of Revelations, we find a final text that implies reincarnation. It suggests a time when one who has successfully passed through a series of lifetimes will achieve liberation from rebirth. Once we accept the fact that we are souls, that we are God beings with free wills, we can choose to make our life experiences either stumbling blocks or stepping stones to self-discovery. And finally, Edgar Cayce said that humankind is being transformed as we realize we are divine. We are the innermost sense of self. We are that space inside which continues to expand and grow in spirit and love. We are all one. And I'm going to continue with a short meditation, so let's just